She glances at the judge with a smirk, her expression more fitting for a dental appointment than facing a murder verdict. This decision will determine if she ever experiences freedom again. She had convinced herself that her insanity defense would succeed. Her legal team portrayed her as a casualty of schizophrenia and a mental health system that had failed her during her most fragile moments. They argued that she faced auditory hallucinations, with voices urging her to kill. She claimed she was unable to control her actions. The defense initially seemed to be gaining traction. The judge appeared to be absorbing their arguments. But then, the prosecution introduced the security footage, and everything shifted. What you're about to witness.
911, what is your emergency?
There is a child. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at North Olmsted, Giant Eagle. We're in the parking lot right now.
Is the child conscious and breathing?
He's in the first 3 rows, farthest north.
Let's get her up.
There you go, man.
Hold you up, okay?
The other arm.
There with you.
We're gonna lift you up,
Yeah, we're
okay?
gonna get him. He's only going
1, 2,
to
3, stand up.
Yeah, please.
Stand up. Come on.
Is the moment Bianca Ellis comprehended that her mental illness wouldn't absolve her of her actions, the moment she realized she wouldn't be returning home, not in a few weeks, nor ever. A mother was brutally stabbed in the shoulder. Her 3-year-old son was stabbed to death, and the evidence of what truly unfolded that afternoon in North Olmsted, Ohio, was captured by security cameras from 3 distinct stores. This is the harrowing account of the woman who, in broad daylight, pilfered butcher knives from a thrift store and used them to commit murder against a child. Every single detail I'm about to unveil has been corroborated through court documents, police body cam footage, and trial testimonies. If you're hearing this story for the first time, brace yourself. What transpired on June 3, 2024, will challenge everything you believe regarding mental illness, criminal accountability, and how surveillance footage can detail a killer's every action. Lover and deviles, we have until voice, with providation be until ounce, before they strike.
Why don't you want to answer these questions?
ASAP.
It turns out there was something prosecutors uncovered from those security cameras that would be pivotal in understanding what truly took place that day. Something that demonstrated Ellis wasn't operating in a deluded state, instead revealing she was fully aware of her actions. It began as an ordinary Monday afternoon, June 3, 2024, in North Olmsted, Ohio. 38-year-old Margot Wood and her son, Julian, had set out for a simple grocery run. Julian's grandmother and younger sister were meant to join them. However, the little girl fell asleep, and the grandmother opted to stay home. It was just Margot and 3-year-old Julian who ventured out. That afternoon, they had no inkling they were making the most dangerous choice of their lives because someone else was already in pursuit. That afternoon, there was someone who had been plotting this for hours. Someone who had traversed the parking lot complex, moving from store to store, on the hunt for the ideal weapon and the perfect target. Remember this detail. It will be crucial later. Margot drove to a shopping center with several stores sharing a parking lot: the Giant Eagle grocery store, the Volunteers of America thrift shop, and Big Lots, all within walking distance of each other. That afternoon, she and Julian entered the Giant Eagle. Julian settled in the shopping cart seat as they began selecting groceries. Julian chose some flowers for his mother inside the store, a typical afternoon in every sense. Yet, across the parking lot, inside the Volunteers of America thrift store, events were already set in motion. A woman entered the store. Security footage documented her actions. She passed by clothing racks, shoes, books, and household items, making her way straight to the back, to the kitchen area. She halted in front of a display of cooking knives, picking up 2 butcher knives, each measuring 8 to 10 inches in length, broad stainless steel blades tailored for cutting meat. She checked the weight, ensured a firm grip, and then strolled right past the checkout area, without making a purchase. Theft, but that would only be the beginning of her offenses that day. The woman exited the thrift store holding large knives in both hands, blades visible, showing no effort to conceal them. Just navigating a public parking lot with deadly weapons in the open light of day, she crossed the parking lot, entered a discount outlet. Security cameras captured her every movement. She lingered for about 30 seconds, knife in hand. No one took notice. No one intervened. Then she stepped back outside. She lifted one knife and brought it down forcefully onto the concrete. She inspected it. The blade wasn't suitable. She discarded that knife right there, on the pavement, continued on with the other one. One knife remaining, one target in mind. Her next destination was the Giant Eagle, the same store where Margot and Julian were shopping. But this is what shattered the defense's argument that she was in a psychotic episode. The woman entered the Giant Eagle. She moved past several shoppers, security footage documented. She made eye contact with at least 4 individuals. According to witness accounts, she adjusted her grip on the knife, moved with intention through the store, not meandering, not confused, searching, and then she spotted them. Margot and Julian, mother and son, in the store. The security footage reveals what transpired next. The woman paused, observed them, and then began to follow. She maintained a distance of several feet, monitoring their movements as they completed shopping. When they turned towards the checkout lanes, she stepped in front, allowed herself to reach the exit, and waited. Margot paid for her groceries, loaded them into the cart. Julian remained in the seat. They proceeded towards the exit. The woman trailed behind them. Then they reached the parking lot. What unfolded there would become the most incriminating evidence against Ellis. Margot pushed the shopping cart towards their car. The woman emerged and began to charge at them from behind, knife raised overhead, slashing wildly at the air. As she rushed, Margot heard footsteps, turned, and saw a woman with a knife sprinting directly toward her son. Instincts kicked in. She grabbed the cart, attempted to push it away from the assailant, tried to shield Julian with her body. The attacker lunged. The knife came crashing down. Margot shoved the cart. The blade missed Julian but struck the rear of their car. Margot screamed, tried to pull the cart away. The assailant yanked the knife free and came at them again. Margot pushed the cart away, threw herself over Julian, attempting to cover him entirely. The woman stabbed down. Julian was hit in the face and back. According to medical testimony, the injuries were severe and life-threatening. Margot was still trying to protect her son. The attacker stabbed her in the shoulder. Numerous onlookers witnessed the assault. Someone called 911 right away. Others were too stunned to react, but not the attacker. She simply walked away, blood-soaked knife still in hand, a calm expression on her face, as if nothing had occurred.
911, what is your emergency?
There was a child. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at North Olmsted, Giant Eagle. I don't know what happened to him.
Okay, what exactly is going on?
There's a kid. He's bleeding all over the place. We're at Giant Eagle. He's outside. We're in the parking lot right now.
Okay, is the child conscious and breathing?
Is he breathing? I don't know. They're doing CPR on him.
They're doing CPR?
Yes, right now.
Okay, hold on one second. North Olmsted units, be advised there's a child that is possibly injured. They're doing CPR on him now. Okay, I'm going to stay on the phone with you for a couple more minutes. I have officers en route. I'm going to get a couple more things from you, okay?
Okay. I didn't see it. I just heard them yelling.
Police swarmed the scene in moments. The suspect was discovered less than a block away. She was found sitting, eerily still, on a curb. The weapon lay on the pavement beside her. Instantly, officers raised their firearms. Commands shattered the air, ordering her down. She complied without a hint of resistance. No words, no struggle.
She's in the first 3 rows, farthest north. Copy, I will be on. Let's get her up.
Hold you up, okay? Grab your other arm.
11, do you have someone there with you?
We're going to lift you up, okay?
Stand up, okay?
1, 2, 3, stand up.
Please.
Stand up. Come on.
Remember that security footage from before? Here's why it was crucial for the prosecution. Back at the Giant Eagle parking lot, paramedics were attending to Margot and Julian.
Ready? Let me know when you're ready.
Let's get him on the car.
Get him on out. Go take him to a car right now. Hey, somebody go get him on.
Margot was awake and shouting for her son. The shoulder injury required urgent medical care. Julian had sustained critical injuries. Paramedics hurried both individuals to the hospital. Eyewitness accounts were collected swiftly.
If you saw this, come to me. If not, you guys will clear the area.
Yep.
If you saw this, come to me. If you guys have nothing to do with this, go ahead and go home.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You saw?
See this?
We were sitting right over there. We heard her screaming instantly right over.
So you didn't see the actual crime?
see the actual crime.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a great day. You guys see any storm?
Yeah.
This. Tell them to go to the hospital.
I'm on this side. I hear a scream. I look back, and she's just dead.
Yep, write it down. You okay? It's not okay for anybody to see. All right.
Doctors successfully treated Margot's shoulder injury. However, Julian's wounds were too grave. Despite the medical team's relentless efforts, Julian succumbed to his injuries at the hospital. A 3-year-old boy lost his life in a grocery store parking lot while shopping with his mother. The assailant was identified as Bianca Ellis. At 32 years old, diagnosed with schizophrenia 13 years prior, her troubling encounters with law enforcement painted a grim picture that prosecutors would utilize to strengthen their case. On May 2nd, 2023, Ellis was taken into custody. She was arrested for stealing items valued at $100 from a store, eventually pleading guilty to a lesser charge of unauthorized use of property. She received 6 months of probation and was mandated to complete a theft education program, but she never attended a single session. A warrant was issued for her arrest when she went missing on January 2nd, 2024. Ellis was found in Bakersfield, California, where she assaulted hospital staff and refused to leave. The police arrested her according to court records. She told officers she wanted to commit an act that would ensure she stayed in jail for at least 2 weeks. Her reasoning remained unclear. Then, in February 2024, Ellis made her way back to Cleveland and stayed at a homeless shelter. She confided in other residents about her desire to kill someone and even consume them. The police placed her in a psychiatric unit, but there she attacked the hospital staff. Somehow, she was released nonetheless. But what the defense was yet unaware of was the extensive evidence prosecutors had accumulated regarding Ellis's behavior in the weeks leading up to the murder. On May 2nd, 2024, Ellis traveled to Kissimmee, Florida. She arrived at the Saratoga Hotel. Although she had bought tickets online, she lacked the funds to pay for her accommodation. When she refused to leave,
I wasn't here earlier. I'm kind of up to date on what's going on, but was she...
So she was here earlier. She can't pay for the reservation. It started last night, but she went back on the property again.
body cam footage captured what followed.
What's your name? Bianca? What's going on tonight?
I was wanting to get booked for trespassing.
Why?
Because I am.
You have no reason? You just want to?
I have nowhere else to go.
Are you refusing to leave the property?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's cold outside, I don't have nowhere else to go.
You have no family, no nothing?
No. I'm not from here, I was just vacationing.
She ended up getting arrested, spent a month behind bars, and was released on May 25th, 2024. Just 4 days later, on Thursday, May 29th, she was arrested a second time. Someone had noticed her in a wheelchair and made a distress call.
You're okay though? Somebody called because they were concerned about you.
Yeah, I kind of get lightheaded from my medicine.
Did
Are you feeling all right?
No, I think the temperature is just getting to be just right.
Okay. Do you have an ID on you just so I can tell them that you're all right?
However, when officers arrived, they discovered through her identification that she had not completed the theft education program. An arrest warrant was active for that.
All right, Bianca, you know you got warrants. Girl, I don't know. They're
probably for here,
yeah, so we gotta check on those, all right? You got anything crazy on you? No guns, knives, drugs, bombs, nothing like that? All right, I'm gonna check. Are you able to stand at all? Okay. Do you have any medical problems going on right now?
No.
It was executed, yet somehow she was released at an undetermined time. On the afternoon of Monday, June 3rd, 2024, she returned to the North Olmsted police station, still in the wheelchair, where she was apprehended. The police had confiscated some of her belongings. She insisted that this never occurred. Consequently, she was sent on her way. Outraged, her next destination was the Volunteers of America thrift store. Moments later, she was seen walking toward the grocery store, leaving her wheelchair behind. That afternoon, she took the life of Julian Wood. Take a moment to reflect on that timeline. According to court documents, Ellis was diagnosed with schizophrenia in the year 2011. She was supposed to take her medication daily. However, she had not followed through for months prior to the murder. Over the course of 9 years, Ellis had been hospitalized roughly 13 times due to mental health issues. Since February 2023, she received treatment at the Meredith Taylor Community Mental Health Center. Medical records indicated that Ellis had a history of hearing voices. Some of those voices urged her to leap off buildings. In February 2024, she was admitted to a hospital where she made strange statements about various topics, including purity, NASA, espionage, and even dinosaurs. Her first hospitalization occurred in November. In 2015, when her mother brought her in for not taking her medication, Ellis was struggling with thoughts of suicide. She had been hospitalized on 3 separate occasions for neglecting her medication, along with experiencing delusions about being sexually assaulted and becoming pregnant from that time until 2021. In February of 2024, she found herself under psychiatric hold after contacting the police and asking to be arrested for allegedly conspiring to commit murder. She continually hallucinated and spoke of murdering El Chapo and the Mafia. Since 2017, Ellis had been receiving Social Security disability benefits due to her schizophrenia. Rather than using that money responsibly for housing and treatment, Ellis would cash the checks and travel instead. She frequently moved back and forth between California and Ohio, encountering police multiple times, each occasion marked by her request to be imprisoned. However, here's the key point. Prosecutors would leverage to dismantle her insanity defense at trial. In the months leading up to the incident, Ellis's life had spiraled into chaos. She was evicted from an apartment in Rocky River in January of 2024. After that, she spent the early months of the year traveling among Cleveland, California, New Mexico, and Florida, often deliberately attempting to get arrested and confined. After the warrant incident and her release, Ellis became homeless. With no financial resources, she was forced to sleep near a casino in downtown Cleveland. That weekend, she had stopped taking her medication. Throughout this period, spanning 6 to 8 months before the murder, not a single family member had been in contact with her. During this time, Ellis believed she had been sexually assaulted and became pregnant. What became of the child? She never disclosed, but there were other children, 23 in total, that she was utterly convinced she had given birth to. While she was only in kindergarten, Ellis had committed a grave sin, but it was clear she was a deeply disturbed individual. Simultaneously, a 3-year-old had been tragically murdered. His mother would live with a physical scar and emotional injuries that would likely haunt her forever. There needed to be consequences. Justice had to be served, yet delays were inevitable. First, her initial court appearance took place at Rocky River Municipal Court. She remained silent. Ellis also refused to lift her head when the judge addressed her, or when her bond was set at $1 million. Because the case involved aggravated murder, it was transferred to the Cuyahoga County Common Pleas Court. Such serious felonies necessitate a grand jury indictment. Ellis's irrational conduct persisted. In fact, it intensified. When the judge spoke to her, she chose not to acknowledge being addressed or respond to any inquiries.
Miss Ellis?
Thank you.
Why don't you want to answer these questions?
ASAP.
By the third attempt to resume her arraignment, Ellis stated she did not want it read to her, and when the judge proceeded to read it, Ellis turned toward the camera and began smiling cheerfully, as if it were a splendid day. However, Julian's father had something to say.
My name is Jared Wood, father of the deceased, husband of Margot. Your Honor, that day, 1 week ago, she took everything from us. There's nothing that could ever replace my son, or anything that my wife and I, or even our other kids, are going through. It's horrendous. And I really wish no bail, period, or extend it to the max limit possible that you can, at the very least. Just do whatever you can to keep this monster behind bars.
Ellis's demeanor could not prevent what was to follow. She was indicted on 9 charges. 1 charge of aggravated murder, 2 charges of murder, 2 charges of attempted murder, 2 charges of felonious assault, aggravated murder, 1 charge of child endangerment, 1 charge of tampering with evidence, and 1 charge of petty theft. Yet, given her behavior, it was clear that something drastic was wrong. Between July and September of 2024, she attended competency hearings. It didn't take long for the court to conclude that this woman was not mentally fit. She showed up for the competency hearings. It didn't take long for the court to determine that this woman was not mentally capable. To face trial in September, she was taken to the North Coast Behavioral Health Care for her treatment. What transpired during those months of treatment would prove vital to the prosecution's case. It wasn't until early 2025 that she was finally well enough to return to court, this time thanks to appropriate medication. Ellis had reached a level of stability that allowed her to answer questions, recognize that her actions were wrong, and engage with her legal team. The trial commenced in October 2025. According to her attorneys, Ellis claimed she heard auditory hallucinations on that day. There were voices in her head urging her to commit murder. Statements from her defense revealed, she declared, "My mind went blank. I just made the choice to follow them. Maybe this isn't going to happen. I thought it was all done. It wouldn't grant me a second chance. My mind took over my body and simply acted on its own." The voices in her head were quite specific. Someone had to die. They had to be eliminated. You could either kill them or take your own life. You understand what you're here to do. Go ahead and do it. It was clear that the defense wasn't contesting whether Ellis had killed Julian or not. They were arguing not guilty by reason of insanity. However, the prosecution disagreed. Then, the prosecution unveiled its strongest evidence. They highlighted Ellis's intent, noting that she stood at the knife display, choosing knives, discarding one that didn't meet her standards, stalking her victims throughout the store, and then waiting for them outside. A person capable of such planning in a murder clearly knew that what they were doing was wrong. The security footage began to roll. The first camera captured the Volunteers of America thrift store. Ellis is seen moving through the aisles, pausing at the knife display, analyzing each one with care, selecting 2 particular knives, not by chance, but by careful choice. The second camera shows Ellis leaving without paying, crossing the parking lot, entering Big Lots, testing the knife against the concrete, deciding it wasn't adequate, discarding it, keeping the superior one. This was not a case of psychotic confusion, but of rational decision-making. The third camera captured the interior of Giant Eagle. Ellis entered, surveying the area, spotting Margot and Julian, beginning to follow them while keeping her distance. This was not random violence, but calculated stalking. The fourth camera reveals Ellis passing them inside the store, reaching the exit first, positioning herself to wait. This was not an impulsive act, but premeditated. Remember those knives Ellis so carefully selected? Now the jury grasped why she was so particular. She needed them to commit murder. Quote, "That theft from the thrift store wasn't born out of random desperation. It marked the inception of a murder plot. Those 30 seconds in Big Lots, testing her weapon to ensure it would work, moving toward the exit, blocking escape routes. All of it demonstrated intent, reflected planning, and portrayed someone who clearly understood their actions." The defense brought in their expert witness, a psychiatrist who had worked closely with Ellis. He testified about the severity of her schizophrenia, the frequency of her hallucinations, and how commands from voices can feel overwhelmingly compelling. But the prosecution had its own expert, a court-appointed psychiatrist who undermined Ellis's condition. According to court testimony, this statement from the psychiatrist was the decisive blow. The expert testified that while Ellis experienced schizophrenia, her actions that day indicated goal-directed behavior. She comprehended right from wrong during the attack. She made intentional choices.
It's my opinion with a reasonable medical certainty that the defendant had the severe mental disease of schizophrenia at the time of the 6/3/24 offense. It's my opinion with reasonable medical certainty, however, that the defendant did not have a severe mental disease or defect at the time of the June 3rd, 2024 offense that caused her to not know the wrongfulness of the offenses. So despite having schizophrenia, it did not cause her to not know the wrongfulness of the offenses. She told me, when I interviewed her on June 12th of this year, that her rage caused the stabbings. She felt rage and blanked out because before the offense she was hot, dehydrated, had slept outside the previous night, had not eaten that day, and was worried about not having to pay any money and being unable to pay her rent. Anger and rage, or anger control problems and rage, are not symptoms of schizophrenia.
The prosecution also presented that courtroom video, the one from Ellis's arraignment, when she turned to the camera and beamed a smile. While the charges for murder were being read aloud, they showed it to the jury. Ellis sat there composed, deliberately turning to face the camera. That grin stretched across her face as the judge listed the details of how she had brutally stabbed a 3-year-old to death. The defense argued mental illness. The evidence indicated intent. The defense contended she couldn't control her actions. However, the security video depicted meticulous planning. The defense claimed she was in a psychotic episode. The psychiatrist attested that she was aware of her actions. The defense directed attention to years of untreated schizophrenia. The prosecution presented footage of Ellis picking murder weapons as if she were choosing items at a grocery store. Earlier, we witnessed her testing that knife against concrete. Now it's clear why that was significant. She was ensuring it was sturdy enough to kill. That moment, when she walked ahead of Margot and Julian toward the exit, she was blocking their escape route. All of this illustrated one point. Ellis was fully aware of what she was doing. Eventually, Ellis seemed to shift her attitude towards the case and her actions.
I just want to say I apologize. I'm sorry.
But it was far too little and much too late. The jury evaluated the facts. When they returned, the verdict was indisputable. Guilty on all counts, except for the charge of tampering with evidence, which had been thrown out. The remaining charges still stood. The judge had made a decision. On October 27th, she was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. Ellis is presently serving her sentence at the Ohio Reformatory for Women. Her attorneys have lodged an appeal with the court, arguing that her severe untreated schizophrenia wasn't sufficiently considered during sentencing, and that someone with her degree of mental illness lacks the capacity to form the intent required for aggravated murder. The appeal also questions whether the jury instructions accurately conveyed the standards for the insanity defense. Those security camera recordings that tracked her movements across 3 different stores that afternoon remain the crucial evidence in her conviction.